Hi guys, welcome. This is my mini 3D print project. I haven't actually really done one yet. I've done like time lapses and things of single items, but I saw this and I thought, you know what, I really fancy this, and it's going to go towards a theme, hopefully. Excuse me. I wanted to do a roller coaster, and I'm thinking, okay, I could do that perhaps one day, but I'm going to start off small. So hence doing this Ferris wheel, and then hopefully it's going to be a series of fairground rides, because I'm an absolute theme park fanatic, love rides and things. So I thought I've got a little shelf just up here. I might do like a fairground sort of scene, and do little 3D print projects with fairground attractions, and hopefully build them up. So it's going to take a long time. You know, I'm not going to rush to do it in a couple of months or anything. It'll be ongoing, so as and when I get a minute and I see something, I'll do it. So yeah, this project in total is taking around 10 hours print time. There's lots of small bits to print off. If you want to do the project yourself, there is a link in the description below, and I've linked the files where you can get the download. It was actually, sorry, I'm so unorganised. It's actually been designed by, if I can find him, Wayne Jordan. He's uploaded the file and it's on Thingiverse. So again, I'll link it down in the description below. If you want to have a go at this project yourself. Now at the moment it is a manual one, so you have to sort of turn a handle and in theory it should run. I may look at later on adapting it to run off a DC motor, and I think I can use like one of the geared motors. You can buy them that range from different RPMs. They've got gears on them, so later on I might look at amending it, but for the moment I'm just going to do it as it is. So the first thing you need to do is get all the parts printed. I'm going to do this over sort of 3 or 4 episodes. So this episode we will get started. We'll start with the base, but what we'll do is I'll print all the parts now, which I have done. I'll show you a picture of those, and I'll also show you a few clips of time lapses of my printer actually printing the parts. When we've done that, we'll go down. I'll tell you what we need to, what pieces you need first, and then we'll start assembling. Okay. Okay, so that's a few of the things you're going to need. I think there's one or two print time lapses I'm missing, but they were so small, like literally it was so quick. I didn't set the printer up properly, the camera. So, but you'll see the final picture. That's everything you need. It's all in the manual as well. So now we can just get on with assembly. So. As I say, this is the first issue, and I'm going to start with the base and the A-frame, and then that will cover this week, and then we'll pick it up again next week. So, obviously, I'm new to this. It's the first time I'm building this, so we could, potentially come up with a few problems on the way, which we can probably resolve, but we'll see. I've had a little play with some of this, and it seems pretty straightforward. So. Let's go down and we'll start off with the base. So, of course, we're going to need the base, which I've got here. We're also going to need the crankshaft support, which is this small piece here, and that's what it looks like. We're going to need the crankshaft and the crank. So there's the crank wheel and the crankshaft, and that is square, and that will obviously fit in that square hole. We're going to need the small gear and the small spacer, and again they've got that square shape in them, obviously that will go through there. So that's the gear. It's the only gear with a square in, and then we've got a spacer, and again it's the only spacer that's got the square in. Okay, I'm going to need them. Now this is the crank support. Okay, now in the manual it doesn't actually say anything about fitting this, although when you go through the manual, when you get to the next step, this is fitted. So I'm going to be installing this as well, and I've worked out where it's going, so yeah, that's all good. So for this I'm going to be using some Gorilla Super Glue gel just to secure these parts into place. Okay, so I'm going to get some waste plastic to put the glue on, and also I'm also going to use some cocktail sticks to apply the glue. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue and that's come out a little bit solid. There we go, that's better. Okay, so the first step is we're going to be gluing the crankshaft support, and we're going to fix it in using super glue. So you'll see this square here. We're going to turn it upside down, and there's a square bit on there. You might just be able to see that. That is going to fit into the square with the hole facing this hole. So obviously if I put this, when you put your crankshaft in, it's going to go through and it's going to go into the round hole. Okay, so I'm going to glue that in first. And I'm just going to put some glue, not on the square but round the sides, because the hole obviously comes through, the square comes through the top of the base, so there's going to be no use in obviously putting any glue on that. Okay, then I'm just going to push that in, make sure it's straight. See what I mean? That square protrudes through the top, so I'd say there's absolutely no need to put glue on that, so just get it where you can, where there's going to make contact. Okay, that is the first step complete. Okay, the next step is to glue the crankshaft to the crank handle. So what we're going to do is put that into the handle, and it sort of clicks into place for me. However, depending on your printer, you may need to file that a bit. I've got quite an accurate printer, so I don't need to do much adjustment normally. So with a bit of glue, I'm just going to put some in that hole, just so it can keep the crankshaft into place. Okay, so what I'm going to do is push that in, and I'm going to use the table to get it down all the way without dropping it, and then just try and eye it up, make sure it's straight in there, and I'm happy with that. Okay, so that is the crankshaft. And what I will say, the guy that's actually made this and designed this is absolutely fantastic. Great build so far. What I've seen of it anyway. Let's just hope it works at the end. Okay, so the next step is a little bit tricky, I believe. So we need to push this assembly through the front of the hole, and let me just sort of focus out again so you can actually see what's going on. So we want to start pushing that through the hole, and then we want to put this the small cog in, the gear, and then it's got an attached spacer on the front there. Make sure that is facing forwards, so it's going to go in like that, and you've sort of got the shape of it actually in the base. So what we're going to do is line that up, push that through. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. And that went through a little bit too, there we go, went through a little bit too forcefully there. You only want to get it through a small amount, and all will become clear in a moment. So once that's through a little bit, you don't want it to come all the way through, because now we have to fit this small spacer down between the gear and into the support there. So this is going to be really difficult to line up, I think. So that's through there. Okay. So that was quite difficult. But that seems to be okay now. So as you turn the handle, it turns the gear. Obviously, it is slightly wobbly, so I'm just going to try something. Okay, we'll go with that for now. So that's what we should have, something that looks like that. So as you turn the handle, that gear moves. Okay, this is the step that it doesn't cover, but what we want to do is put a little bit of glue on there, and that is going to fit in these two inner holes just here, there and there. And it will sort of look like that. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on the posts first. I just need to pop that back out. Okay. Okay, so let me just pop that in. And there we go. No, I see. And what that does actually, looking at it, it helps the cog to stay a little bit straighter. So that is what that is for. I did wonder. Okay, so with that being done, we're now going to focus our attention on the A-frame assembly. So we're going to pop that aside for a moment. And we want our A-frames. And I printed all these in different colours. I forgot to mention, you can print them in whatever colour you want. Okay, so we're going to need the A-frames. And then we want the smaller of the two plugs. So when you come to print all your parts, you'll see I've got another plug in this bag with a logo on. And that is slightly, it's got a wider pin on it, so you want the smaller of the two. Okay, so what we're going to do with this one is we're going to fit the medium size gear wheel, and it's got the attached spacer on there. That is going to go face down on the A-frame with the pin in the middle there. This one is just completely flat. So you want this one here, and we're going to place that with the attached spacer face down, so it should leave a flat surface on the top. I mean, you could do it the other way, but that would be wrong because it sort of grinds against the frame. So you want to turn that round so you've got clearance there between the frame and the gear. So with that being done, all it leaves is to plug this into that hole at the top. Now before I put that in, I'm just going to run a little bit of glue inside. Don't get it anywhere near the cog, just inside, because you obviously want the wheel to be free moving. So that's going to go on there, and then I'm just going to clip that down. There we go. And then make sure you've got a free spin on there. So that's that glued in, and that may take a few minutes to set, so I'm just going to leave that to stand for the moment. But just make sure that this can turn freely, because if this goes in too tight, it's obviously going to restrict movement on that. Okay, so next we're going to attach the A-frame to the base, and you've got 4 pins at the bottom which are going to line up with the 4 on each side. So obviously this A-frame will go with this side nearest the cog, so that when you turn the handle, obviously when it's secured in, obviously when you turn the handle, that cog's going to move. Okay, so I'm going to start with that side. So again, I'm just going to put some glue on the 4 posts at the bottom. And I'm also going to run some along the base here, because that should have contact with the base as well. Okay, so that's that side. Obviously we want to work fairly quickly before the glue sets. And we also want to work quickly in fitting this into place. Brilliant. And that is that fitted. Now obviously this will get more rigid when, you know, further on the build. At the moment it's a little bit loose, but that is obviously normal. But when we turn the handle, you see it is moving the gears. But once we've got the other side in, and obviously the support at the top, it should keep all this together. But I'm happy with that at the moment. So now we're going to work on the other side, and in the same manner just going to glue them into these 4 holes. So I'm just going to get some more glue. Okay, and then just drop them in the holes. And then we should have something that looks like that. Okay, so that was the first episode done. That's all I wanted to do in this episode. It's just sort of an introduction to the project, and obviously got the base done. It's, you know, it's only going to be probably about 3-4 episodes max, so it's not a huge build. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I did. A little bit fiddly with those that gear and the handle, but I think everything else going forward should be fairly straightforward. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully see you next week for part 2 of Build the Ferris Wheel. Take care.